Hello YouTube. I'm going to once again rant about the Transportation Security Administration and their unjust, to put it mildly, policies at airports in the United States. Now, you may or may not have heard that a woman was recently arrested for groping a TSA agent. She allegedly grabbed and twisted the breast of a TSA agent. Now, the two news reports I read did not indicate why this woman engaged in this act. In fact, they said that Phoenix police do not know why this woman groped the female TSA agent. However, a blog post I read says that she was asked to submit to either the body scanner or the grope down. And upon doing so, she said, "Oh, like this," was the quote in this article, and proceeded to demonstrate the grope down in reverse. That is, she groped the TSA agent when she was posed with the choice, which is in fact a false choice, of whether to be radiated or molested. She opted instead to molest the TSA agent. Regardless of whether this quote on this blog post was accurate, on staradvisor.com. Actually, that is a news website, so I'm not entirely sure which news, but although it's more of an editorial, so I'm not entirely sure which news article was read. I read one on Fox News, one on the Daily Camera, and one on the Star Advisor. The one on Fox News and the Daily Camera were rather similar and stated that the Phoenix police do not know why she engaged in the act, whereas the staradvisor.com says that it was when she was posed with the choice of being radiated or molested that she proceeded to demonstrate the molestation in reverse by groping the breast of the TSA agent. Now, regardless of what exactly occurred, I should first state that I oppose what this woman did. This woman who was arrested and initially faced felony charges and now faces a misdemeanor for groping a TSA agent, I oppose what she did because I oppose sexual assault. It's very simple. I don't condone sexual assault even if the individuals who are being sexually assaulted are responsible for sexual assault. I view sexual assault as psychologically harmful. It's not just I view it, it is sexually harmful. It is psychologically harmful. It is traumatizing to one extent or another, or at the very least discomforting, detrimental in some fashion. So I condemn it. So despite the fact that I am an anarchist, or that I tend towards anarchism, I oppose certain facets of it, but if you were to label me as anything, if you were to say I subscribe to any specific political ideology, the one that would be most fitting would be anarchism. So despite the fact that I tend towards anarchism and oppose that all forms of hierarchy, which includes the police and the TSA for that matter, I don't strongly oppose the actions of the police in this instance, that is, arresting this woman for groping the TSA agent. Having said that, this situation is rather interesting, is it not? Because the TSA is allowed to invasively pat down, aka molest, thousands of travelers on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, and they get away with it. In fact, they're mandated to do it by Homeland Security, by Janet Napolitano, and by John Pistole, the head of the TSA. And they have immunity to violate and degrade passengers routinely. Yet the moment a citizen does this, they are arrested on felony charges, which were downgraded to misdemeanors in this instance. But, it's just like if someone were to sexually assault another individual and it was discovered by law enforcement anywhere in our society. But this is a more direct illustration of the unjust immunity that the TSA have in this instance because it was done at an airport. And to the abuser, the one of the many potential victims of sexual assault by the TSA this past passenger became an abuser herself, a sexual assaulter herself, and sexually assaulted a TSA agent who is typically the abuser. The TSA agent became the victim in this instance. So, the irony is inescapable there. Now, the fact that some people in the Don't Fly movement, etc., if it can be said to be a movement, those who are, advocate for opt-out days, etc., the fact that they're embracing this woman, and allegedly, according to this one article I read, that the lawyer of this arrested woman is attempting to portray her as the victim, is unacceptable in my view. I think it is a clear instance of a double standard within the anti-TSA movement. If they're going to oppose sexual assault, I think they need to just oppose it in its entirety. It's wrong when the TSA sexually assaults people. It's wrong when flyers sexually assault the TSA. It's wrong when a husband sexually assaults their wife. It's wrong when anyone sexually assaults any other individual in our society at any time. So, I feel that they need to stick to that moral standard, as opposed to viewing it as some act of retaliation. Because sexual assault is highly psychologically harmful, and when it's ubiquitous in society, both inside and both outside of airports and now inside of airports, it happens far too routinely in our society. Of course, if it happens at all, it's too routine, but it's very pervasive in our society. Sexual assault is very pervasive in our society. It's just one of the many forms, forms of violation, control, domination, and abuse that litter our society. So, I lost my train of thought there for a moment, but in essence, right, so if you want to live in a healthy society, as I do, then you condemn sexual assault no matter who it occurs to. Regardless if the TSA is engaging in unjust actions, I don't feel that they deserve to be sexually assaulted. I believe that sexual assault, I know that sexual assault is psychologically harmful in all instances, and as such is antithetical to the development of a healthy, humane, just society. So, yeah, but this case does illustrate the fact that the TSA, along with other law enforcement-esque agencies, are given carte blanche to do things that the general citizenry cannot do, and consequently are turning our society into an increasingly tyrannical society, or a society that increasingly resembles tyrannical societies a la those depicted in 1984 and Brave New World by George Orwell and Aldous Huxley, respectively. So yeah, that's essentially my message, folks. Fuck the TSA and fuck all sexual assaulters. Let's not give in to double standards here and view this as an act of retaliation, but let's recognize the fact that it does illustrate that us plebes, us lowly citizens, are held to much harsher standards than the godlike government that can violate you with impunity. Fuck the TSA, don't fly. If you do fly, raise hell, absolute hell, at the airport when they attempt to radiate you, and especially when they attempt to molest you, when they attempt to violate your right to feel safe and secure in your persons, to use a constitutional term. Just violate your right to feel safe and to feel like a human being. And, I'll reiterate this in succinct terms. I've said similar in previous videos. But this is so horrific, these quote-unquote pat-downs, this molestation by the TSA, because it amounts to nothing less than a normalization, a justification of abuse, degradation, violation. It amounts to a normalization of degradation, abuse, and violation. It amounts to an alteration of the very moral fabric of society. I don't mean to sound like a Christian there, But this is one societal moral that I wholeheartedly agree with, that is the opposition to sexual assault, and the TSA is eroding that, and the Homeland Security and the government at large is eroding that systematically by institutionalizing and normalizing this insane violation of your humanity and your person. Now, I mean, children are growing up thinking it's okay for government officials, and by extension, potentially anyone else, to sexually assault them. It's horrific. It is horrific. So, sorry, I'm a bit tired and I'm not thinking entirely clearly. That's hence the large pauses, hence the slightly slower talking, etc. But yeah, this is so horrific in its implications, it amounts to normalizing abuse, and it's a slippery slope between normalizing abuse at an airport and normalizing it in society at large. As stated, it's already far too ubiquitous in society at large. You know, something like 500,000 children a year get mutilated by their parents. You know, 1/4 of women get raped within their lifetimes, an additional 25% have to fend off rape attempts. For something so ubiquitous, but at least previously it was officially condemned. It was said it was wrong to sexually assault. This is a deliberate statement to the citizenry that we are going to normalize sexual assault, thus altering the moral fabric of society. It is absolutely horrific. I hope that it doesn't prevent women who are sexually assaulted by their boyfriends or husbands, etc. I hope it doesn't cause them to be more inclined to justify and normalize it and think that they deserved it, as opposed to the fact that the action's unjust. Because they may reason and think, well, as a child, I was molested every time I flied, therefore it's okay for anyone to molest me. It's part of society. It's normal. I'm going to fight back my natural inclination to be viscerally traumatized and upset by it, and accept it as a normal facet of society, and thus become less human as a consequence, and alter what it means to be human, or at least lose awareness of what it is to be human. So then I just want to rant briefly against the police now, because given the fact that, you know, this recent policy change at the TSA where they now molest passengers is perhaps, you know, it's one of the domestic issues that frustrates me and irritates me and enrages me more than anything else. But there is another issue that fundamentally irritates me, and that is the police department. The institution of policing as an inherently unjust society. I mean, as an inherently unjust institution. As an institution that can gun down minorities and poor people with impunity, oftentimes, or at least with very limited consequences when they get any at all. And this happened recently in San Francisco. They have murdered 2 people in the past, I believe, 3 weeks, the most recent of which was a 19-year-old black man who was gunned down after refusing to pay his ticket for the transit system in San Francisco. Now, it is alleged that when the police began chasing him for refusing to pay his ticket, which I would argue they should not have done in the first place, because the institution of policing in itself is unjust, read some anarchist theory, and also because it's a very minor infraction. The ticket was $2. It's not a significant issue, and also a society that values economics, that values wealth above most other things, is an inherently unjust society. In any case, they began chasing him after he refused to pay his ticket for the transit system. It is alleged that he fired at the cops with a gun. It is alleged he had a gun and fired first, and then the cops proceeded to shoot 10 times and then to watch him die. It is alleged that they did not call an ambulance sufficiently, and it seems that 10 shots were highly unnecessary at the very least. You know, it seems that even if we are to accept the fact that chasing him was justified, even if we are to believe the police's claim that he had a gun, we still must contend with the fact that they shot him 10 times, which